18 on one map for him, 17 I think in week number 1. He's been absolutely tearing through the opposition, but today it's got to be a team effort to bring down the giants that are NaVi.
Well, this is it. You've had better performances from TrainHard in Stage 2 than we saw in Stage 1, picking up points, which, you know, has been a great start for them. NaVi, mixed bag so far. One bad performance, one good. It's been up and down. There's time. So, we are coming into Clubhouse. Sledge is going to be our first ban.
Indeed.
A little bit of a mixing up of the operator bans there with the Sledge coming in.
That's because a lot of teams obviously love using the Sledge for the vertical destruction, opening up the hallway, for example, down into the basement, those sort of things. Maverick being one that's stepping out here does mean that the Thatcher is going to be left open, a normal go-to permaban on a lot of maps. The Maverick, I think, more for the walls here, so electrification is going to play a part of it. You'll probably see Thatcher therefore in most of these rounds. Kind of an old school, back to the way that we used to open walls with the Thatcher and the hard breaching combo.
Certainly is. We're going to pick up our two defenders now. If you've maybe a bit newer to Siege, you're wondering what's going on with banning out some of the operators. Each team gets to pick an attacker and a defender that will not be eligible for the entire map. And once we've got 4 of them, then we move into the game itself. We've got Wamai and Valkyrie coming through as our 2 defensive bans. So again, nothing too unusual. The Sledge and the Wamai there, a bit sort of, you know, less popular in terms of the banning phase, but still there for the time being. We're going to head into round 1 pretty soon. It's going to be a CCTV and cash room defence to start us off. We've got NaVi on the defence. That's going to be for the first 6 rounds. And then TrainHard will switch sides from the attack onto the defence themselves. So starting upstairs to begin with, Des.
Absolutely. I mean, looking at the setup, the mirror being open is the one that I'm quite excited about here, I guess. More to see where it gets set up, where it gets deployed, where it gets used. You see some teams with holds that might look across into the garage itself, for example, if you want to go hyper-aggressive. Some teams have even started using it on the actual CC breach itself, which is a little bit different. And I think with the bandit on side, why not? You can play the trick behind it as well if you want to. Gives it a lot more ease for the bandit to be able to trick that wall off. Like say, this is going to feel much more like a throwback to Siege, where it's going to come down purely to whether or not that wall can get opened up. What I'm paying attention to as well, though, for TrainHard is the Buck and the Iana. They are the 2 keys, the skeleton keys, if you will, that you'll be paying a lot of attention to see if they can get control of Lounge downstairs and open things up.
Well, in terms of an attack onto CCTV, as you said, step 1 is going to be opening that east wall to the right-hand side of your screen now. Step 2 is to get control of garage, which is now off to the left-hand side of your screen. Thank you very much. So once you've got that garage catwalk and you've got that east breach, you can draw 2 lines, if you will, on that screen from the window at the bottom all the way up that red corridor in front of you. That's one line. And then the other is from the east breach across to the left-hand side in front of that cash door. Thank you very much. And what you're doing there with those 2 lines, if you get people established on those, basically you make it impossible for the defenders to come into CCTV room, which is the B-bomb site. You then feed your diffuser in the hands usually of your hard breach, no error in this case. You feed it in through that soft wall, which will have been opened up in the process, and you get it down behind the server stack. That is the plan here. Lounge plays a part, and so does Durza, taking the head off of saves.
Yeah, up on the roof as well. That angle that comes straight down into catwalk. Got to be careful of it. You know, some players that play inside of the catwalk area need to be wary of this east window. When the breach gets opened up, sorry, the west window, but when the breach gets opened up, even more to think about here. With the EMP coming in, it's going to be a charge for Blur to try and get this one opened up, I think, but they're not going to bother off the back of it. Just going to let that one get opened up and bail away from playing on the window. I think concerned that maybe a frag grenade might come singing in from the west side. However, Durza has been brought down in the process. So 1 for 1 here. Wall is opened up. Things playing out as normally as you'd expect on a site like this.
Yeah, fairly standard so far. The defenders now will be forced back into cash, so that is where the majority of the hold will come from. Now, interestingly, there's no smoke on side. That would be your usual first line of defence. You'd toss those Toxic Babe canisters through the top of the soft wall between cash and CCTV, hoping to get that gas to land in the default plant spot next to the server stack. And the B-bomb, instead, it's going to be an all-out explosive offensive. There's 3 nitros in hand, and that's what they're likely to be used for. Now, as you say, that is disgusting, as secretly takes the head off Void there, leaving us 4 versus 3, 1 minute 15. And this catwalk at the minute is a complete power position for NaVi. And until TrainHard get that cleared out, they're not going anywhere near that default plant spot.
It's got these ADSs burnt out, which they'll now do. The last one going through confirms that you might be able to weave a grenade in there if you were lucky, but unfortunately there are no grenades to sing in. But it forces the man trying to move away, doesn't want to sit there completely white screen, and Chaoxis will be able to bring him down. So 3 versus 3, despite the slightly scrappy start out of TrainHard, but they've done what they need to. The breach is open, they've got control of Garage. It's going to be about as standard a take as you can come to expect, as long as you aren't bleeding out members like this. Blaz being picked off by Nath there, seemingly without any other movements by the rest of the team triggering that engage. It was just a straight up, I'm going to walk up the stairs and take a gunfight.
The big problem with that kill for TrainHard, Des, is that Blaz was down in lounge to prevent a vertical denial. That was one of his jobs there, and also to offer a flank option to move up red stairs. With him gone, Nath can move downstairs and try to put a nitro down from underneath. He doesn't need to, as he gets the kill from the top of cash stairs anyway, as TrainHard try to force their way into the site to get the diffuser down. Noera had little option at that point left to him. He's going to lock it down and then close out the round for NaVi.
You know I'm about to tell you.
I know what you're about to tell me, Des.
Probably about 12 times so far. Right, the desks that we are working on are on wheels, and somehow Tim keeps on pushing the desk forward.
Every time.
And then having to recorrect it, and I'm like, Tim, you're not exactly a big fella. How are you managing this?
It's excitement.
The man's like shoving his nose straight into the screen that we've got flat on the desk in front of us. He's that excited, and it's sending the whole thing careering across the studio. I'll just stand here, mate. Go on, you take it for a walk if you want. You feel those wheels need some working out. By all means.
We'll come back from the game. The studio will have been completely rearranged.
As Ace has just been screaming, pushing these things around. Forget about engines when you've got Ace screaming his heart out. Anyway, round number 2, down into the basement then. I love seeing this site because teams have always got a different idea or setup for it. Whether you're going for a roam base setup and playing on the top floor, whether you're hunkering down inside of the basement and trying to play hard denial, whether it's just a little bit of a soft start to a round with, say, a Jaeger poking his head up at the top of main stairs and then dipping back down once he's got a drone or two. Appears here for NaVi, they have got some focus on the top floor. Nath is up there on the mute. And normally you'd have a mute and a Mozzie in combo, but a mute really can do a lot of the same sort of things by himself. The idea being you're stopping the drones from being able to find out where you are on the top floor. So the attackers are forced to take these very awkward, difficult, direct fights where you don't know where the defender is exactly. If he feels in too much danger, drop through a hatch, work your way back to site. It's no problem at all. We'll see how much time you can waste and, more importantly, how fast TrainHard can deal with him, because the more time you spend on that top floor, the less time you're spending opening up the hallway down into basement.
Ooh, I really thought Doki was going to go for a peek on that garage door then, but he thinks better of it, dips himself away, and he's just instead going to continue causing a nuisance in and around that map now. Chaoxis has opened up that east wall, so there will be a top floor clearance from TrainHard. There is always the option, of course, to just go route 1 to site and try and cut those rotations off as the roamers try to move back to site, but TrainHard, they decide that's not the way. They're going to try and get themselves in and deal with them, I think, now. Nath, he's got himself led prone inside of the bathroom there. Just real tight angle. That could be a nasty one to clear out. Voy, he's going to look... Is he going to go up to garage stairs? He is. He's moving up to the catwalk, so the top floor clearance is starting, Des, but it's a little bit... In fact, Voy hasn't gone upstairs. I really thought that was going to be the start of the push up to the top floor. They're just ignoring it at the minute, but the fact that it's not, say, a dirt tunnel rush, the fact that they are trying to play in and around that mid floor is a slight concern. They really need to have the flanks locked down here. That's what I hope.
They've basically just said, screw the top floor. Forget about playing that dancing game. We're not going direct to site, but we are just going to play this round out as we would normally. And I'm with you. Flank drones watching stairs or a hatch drop, for example, will give them a good indication of when Nath is trying to move back to site. And he was thinking about it a second ago, but that drone that was inside the construction doorway probably made him think, well, I just don't know. I don't know when they're going to push me. Surely. Look left. Look left. Ta-da! That's the easiest kill of his career.
That's it. You can't watch that as a flank unless you've literally got a gun sat watching that. This is the other problem when you've still got 5 left alive, is the drones aren't getting watched in the same way. Once you've got somebody dead, you can see now Noera. The drone is there showing that he is sat on the drones. So he's going to be flicking through watching those flanks. He's going to be trying to find Nath. But it's too little too late. You've lost that first man. Nath's had his impact on the roam. You've got a minute left to go and you still haven't dealt with him. There's a lot of work for TrainHard to do here. They're not pushing towards site. They haven't got a handle on all of NaVi. This is going to be a tough round for them.
Just surprised with Norman really in the area as well. Thinking modes will be one of your main points of ingress. That's where you'd be thinking about trying to go for a push in. Clearly wasn't the intent at that point. TrainHard is all about blue. They've got the Yana eating grenades down there. You've got smoke canisters now being deployed. Chaos is trying to push his way through with the diffuser in hand. I also want to raise out here. Someone had to do it because Noera, of course, has lost it here. But thinking about 25 seconds to play, boys, now is the time to pull the trigger and say, let's go. And Saves does just that. Finds one for himself onto Void before Chaoxys, the man with a plan and the diffuser, steps down himself. But the rest of his team have been completely cleared out. So Chaoxys the crazy, maybe on a tear. But something tells me it shouldn't be enough to completely clear this out in the next 10 seconds. Doki takes the closing kill. 2 rounds on the bounce for NaVi.
Doki finds that win, and as you say, it just wasn't quite enough, Des. The idea was there, absolutely, but there just wasn't enough pressure from elsewhere. Quite often, Church and Arsenal, we talk about this multifaceted push that needs to come in. Blue Tunnel, very powerful, absolutely. Chaoxys gets down there and opens himself a couple of kills up. Now imagine if you've got one in Dirt Tunnel. Imagine you've got one on Kitchen Hatch or at the bottom of main stairs. Imagine you've got a diffuser ready to go in through the Church wall. All of a sudden, you're looking at a completely different round. But TrainHard just weren't in that position. It was just a lone wolf. It was a one-man assault, Des, and it was never going to work on Church and Arsenal, because as soon as the defenders realise that that is what is happening, as soon as they realise that, right, the danger's coming from Blue Tunnel and nowhere else, all guns point in that direction, and it's a matter of time until they get shut down.
Now we step into the air quotes offsite of Gym and Bedroom. The Frost being brought along, incredibly popular on this site, it's worth mentioning, both for her site transformation properties, although realistically with the Rooney being so popular, Mute Smoke being popular, there are a lot of shotguns in the game right now to do that work for you. I love how Rooney, by the way, everyone was like, oh, cool, new laser stuff, and then we can go and run around the map, and it's like, no, you're staying on site, you're open and rotate. You got that Fist of Thunder that can smack holes in walls like no one's business. So often that's what you'll see the Rooney used for as well. But then looking across the rest of the team, that Rooney being on site, I'm keen to see where these laser gates get deployed. Are they going to be on the south windows? Will there be any committal here out towards the east side of the map? I just realised there might be a reinforcement short here as well. They've only got the one wall reinforced because they had to save the last one a second ago to put the double onto the east wall. It's one of them things where the main reason for that is you want to force out an exothermic from Nuera, for example. Otherwise, you could leave it soft and lock yourself inside a cache and leave that down to the C4 dance that we see so many teams do in that area. And almost on cue, they're going to start opening up that CC breach with the ace of all things as well. The sound was starting to open up and secretly opts to get this wall opened up so we can contest directly through it.
A presence from TrainHard coming in immediately to that eastern side then. Nuera heads over to the hot tub wall and we'll get that open as well. I like what I'm seeing, Des. 35 seconds in, we've got both breaches done. The hard breaching work is complete, so they can now do a number of tasks. They can start getting themselves onto drones, feeding information in. We can also see them, which is Blaz doing that right now. I would expect to see Blaz now getting in and trying to get some kills. They can move into that stage of the game. The utility isn't essential anymore. They've got the walls open that they want to open. There's potential to possibly open bathroom wall as well. Garage wall being open now, but that is done at this point, and it's just get in there, support with weight of numbers, get some kills, open up this east side so you can start hurting from those south windows as well.
They know that Secret is alone in here and they want to get rid of him so they can make use of this west window and CC to cover the south balcony. But that means removing these two players. C4 coming singing out, gets caught on the server, not going to connect onto anyone on Catwalk. And Durkee goes, yeah, he made an absolute, well, mess up of that on getting back to site. Secretly has also beelined it out of there. They were hoping to find something with the C4, and now that they know that they've drawn a number of utility, you know, the Selma's being deployed, 2 of them out towards the east, and drones being committed in as well. That's their sign to go back. TrainHard now have control. About a minute and 15 left to play with here to put their focus on and execute.
We've got Doki underneath at the minute, and that's something to watch out for. We've already spoken. Oh no, it's secretly. It's secretly that's down underneath Doki. I think the silhouette's just crossed over as I saw that. So we've got secretly downstairs. He's been able to open up some vertical holes with the shotgun there. He's certainly the better operator to be doing it because he can make an impact vertically, and that is exactly what he's going to try to do. Blur takes a lot of damage and a little bit more as Blaz manages to find the kill to open things up. Voidable's down with one onto Nathan and one onto Saves as well. 4 versus 2 now as NaVi only managed to exchange 1 in that process. It's all down to secretly. He's underneath. It's 1 versus 3. This has got to be a shortcut to nowhere as he's on the main stairs, but he manages to find the kill on the reverse angle onto Nuera. 30 seconds left to go, and this is not unthinkable.
Just being patient here as well, 1 on each window, just waiting for Secretly to step in for the challenge in case there is a plant going down. Now that indication should come through, but the cover should be there as he steps across here. Do they know about it? Apparently not. Goes for 1 spray, takes a drone out instead. Chaos is coming off the plant here as well. They're running it down to the wire. If he can get aggressive here, they can find some magic coming in. If he can force it into 2 separate 1v1s, he can make it happen, but no. TrainHard come off the plant for a second time, make it a 2 versus 1, and take their first round here on the offsite.
A great start to get them into the game. NaVi won't be too worried about that, though. As you say, it's the offsite, effectively. It was their third choice. They're going to rotate back through CCTV and Church and Arsenal now over the next couple of rounds, and they'll be hoping to put themselves in a position of being 4-1 up. Coming into CCTV, TrainHard need to keep themselves alive. I know it sounds really simple, but that was what they struggled with last time. They lost 2 men early in the round, and it left them with only 3 to assault onto site. They had 1 down in Lounge, 1 in Garage, and 1 on the East Breach, and it just doesn't give you any flexibility, because as soon as you lose one of those men, you've got a problem straight away, and that's what happened. They lost the man down in Lounge, and immediately you've got a new problem to think about. You've got Nath, could be hitting us from the top of cash stairs, but he's a mirror. He's got a nitro in hand. He might have moved down for a vertical denial here, and all of a sudden those 2 men left have got a lot to think about. So TrainHard need to keep some men into the fight this time. They need to get themselves established, east wall breached, possession of catwalk, and then they can start thinking about the potential of a plant.
Note how they've dropped away from playing with the Bandit this time around as well. It was I don't want to say a focal part of their strategy, but it was, at least initially. They were playing with the Bandit plus the Mirror playing out on the East Breach to help with the denial. Didn't work out, I think, because they were so terrified of being fragnated out from the west window. So what some teams will do is stick someone with a frag grenade on the west window, chuck it in towards the east wall, and whoever's trying to bandit trick, guess what? Chances are you're getting absolutely screwed over by a frag grenade landing at your feet, but it is going to be that lower down mirror. If they wanted to, you can then pop that out a little bit later into the round and use it to contest onto the east rappel. It's entirely up to you. Imagine that might be part of it here, because twice now they've gone for the setup with the mirror playing, looking out towards the east.
Doki wants to be careful playing in strip. If we remember, he got hit through a soft wall.
Got wall banged, yeah.
Oh dear, it was a nasty one last play day. But he gets himself away. Just heads upstairs on the Malusia, keeping himself unpredictable. Again, we've seen TrainHard be hit from the flank so far. Doki's going to keep himself inside a logistic. He tries to just catch a nitro at the same time as that hatch is opened unsuccessfully. Now he's going to keep himself over on that side of the map for the time being. He's slowly sort of filtering his way back to site. We're a minute in, and it's going pretty well for TrainHard. So.
Ironically, that probably would have been a kill for Doki if NaVi hadn't banned Sledge. If that was a Sledge at that hatch trying to smash it open, that C4 comes out at that exact moment as he looms over it, yeah, easy kill. But because it's a buck, that slightly more range destruction coming into effect with the skeleton key to open the hatch, doesn't get caught out by it all. Instead, the C4 just sinks down to the ground. At least in the opening 75 seconds, we haven't seen any one-ton aggression coming out of TrainHard. I thought in a couple of their earlier rounds, often, and when I say the early rounds, we're still kind of at that point. Looking more specifically back at the one where they tried to push into CC back in round 1, Blaz taking that one kind of random challenge by himself, coming up blue without, or red, without any support from anywhere else, and no other moves being made was a little bit perplexing. So I'm glad that at least there's more structure to this round. They're taking their time a little bit better.
So that's Blaz having used his impact nades to keep that wall closed. There are 2 available on the Legion of saves, but he's not in a position to use them on this construction wall to keep it closed. So it will be opened up at the bottom at least. That might give the opportunity for a little bit of further work to be carried out. Blaz has used all of his Selma devices, so it would be down to Noera on the exothermics. If he has one left, we'll see when he gets out of his drone exactly how he stands. But at the minute, he's just trying to feed information back in. And not sure which side the plant is going to be looking for here. The diffuser's down near the construction wall. I think it's just outside of the window there. So there are options for TrainHard here, but they need to start finding some kills.
They do. It's that kind of worry about as we get towards the dying moments. So I remember these 2 teams, well, Tempera they were known as back at the time when they were playing against each other last year on this exact map. 2 rounds were won by TrainHard, or Tempera at the time again, on the attack because it was such a mad flurry in the dying seconds of the round. It all came down to kills with about 10 seconds left on the clock. It was absolute insanity. And I get the feeling this round might just be about to go the same way. There's 20 seconds left and no one has yet died. There are going to be a lot of kills in the next few seconds, and there's the first.
Saves just able to pick up an easy kill onto Noera and TrainHard. As much as they managed to keep themselves alive later into the round, this time there was just no preparation of site dares realistically. They'd got the breaches open, but they'd not moved any of the defenders. Garage Catwalk once again proving to be such a pivotal point on this site. Saves and Secretly were locked in there, and there was everything that they could do about the round. We saw saves just absolutely open Noera up as he came in through that east breach from the garage window. No problem at all. A nice crossfire with the top of Cash Stairs, and it was as easy as that. Nicely defended from NaVi. They were patient. They were happy to have the walls breached. They were happy to be moved around and just to relocate, find new angles and to lock it down. TrainHard, they did well at clearing out 80% of the map. They did well at keeping NaVi locked in, but they just couldn't do anything about that last 20%.
Absolutely not. I mean, the thing is, nothing surprised NaVi there, right? TrainHard just got themselves positioned to go for a very standard execute. Noera kind of pushed in by himself initially, walked into the room like, hey guys, I'm here, and then got put in the dirt. And about 3 seconds later, the rest of the team reacted and started making things move. Now, that seems to be the running theme for TrainHard so far, is the team is a little bit out of sync. One player's making something happen somewhere on the map, and the others are like, oh yeah, now I should move. 2 or 3 seconds too late to really, count off the fact that a member of NaVi is distracted looking elsewhere. In that last round, it just came down to the cross angles being held by NaVi. They weren't made uncomfortable by anything that TrainHard were doing, was clear and clinical for them. Let's see then how round number 5 goes, down in the basement this time round. Bless you, my good sir. Let's see. You okay there, buddy? That was quite an aggressive one, actually.
I muted myself, but it may have been picked up elsewhere. It was
it's quite a boom, I'm not going to lie.
Unexpected.
That's the kind of stuff that makes the desk move if you're not careful.
Well, it is on wheels.
If it's on wheels, it's meant to move, is what Tim will tell you.
We're getting into the action phase proper here. 20 seconds in, and we've got Secretly. He's inside a dirt tunnel, but look at this. TrainHard, they're already down there, Des. They're already looking to try and aggress through here. This is a little bit of a rush coming in. Secretly misses his shots on the drone, and in the confusion, the panic, he gets shut down by Durza.
Side, 3.
That's it, 5 versus 4 now, and this is not looking good for NaVi as Voy finds one as well. It's starting to fall apart. They're being caught out by the aggression of TrainHard inside the first minute.
Yeah, 3 just dropped through blue there. You just see them dropping one after the other, and they got blue control. That's what you need for a starting assault. Now it's Blur left inside of sight, but do they know that he's playing in this spot? Yes, they do. Blaz with a great shot onto him. C4 comes out from Nath, but nothing connects. At the end of the day, Tim, when things aren't going well, you got no other options left. Just rush. Because apparently it's worked absolute wonders for TrainHard. Noera's taken a small bit of chip damage, and outside of that, that damage is left on the side of Nath. He's the bullet from death or a frag grenade if you really want to overkill him. That works absolutely fine. Flawless round coming out for TrainHard.
Great round from them, just coming in, and sometimes you got to do things a little bit differently. Sometimes you just got to go route one straight into sight and find those kills. It was a little bit unfortunate for Secretly. He got himself into a bit of a dither over that drone. Des just couldn't find the shots onto it, and ultimately, as he tried to spin on his heel, he just got caught in absolute no man's land. Complete and utter indecision. You could see it in the game. Do I take another pot shot at the drone? Do I need to get out of here? What do I need to do? And TrainHard, the information was there, and they used it clinically. They just got in there and got themselves a freebie.
When a drone is disabled like that as well, you know what's coming.
Yeah.
Like, okay, they've got off the drone. That likely means someone is about to run at me and kill me. I should run away really fast. And that small half a second of hesitance can, well...
It was, do I go to shotgun? Do I run? What do I do? What do I do?
Run was maybe the answer. Let's have a repeat of that sight once again. So it's almost like round 5 didn't happen. It's like, oh, suddenly TrainHard at 3-2 rather than 3-1. What just happened there? Let's pretend it didn't happen. This time around for NaVi, there's no, drastic changes to make, and they haven't done so in the comp either. It's like, well, nothing really went wrong. We just got completely caught off guard. They're going to go for this roaming setup once again. A little bit interesting, because normally with the SSG roam, you would leave that hatch soft, blow it out so players can drop through the construction hatch, run across to the bar hatch, and then be straight back on site in about 7 seconds or so from the top floor to site, ready to defend in case a rush does come through. But here they've reinforced off both hatches, which is really interesting.
Certainly is. We've got the reinforcement there, gym to bedroom, that's just going to allow Nath to stay mobile again, get moving. We saw him get a kill to open things up. It was onto Noera, took the hatch drop down into bar and found him on his drone. So something TrainHard, I'm sure, will be a little bit more aware of this time. I'll be interested to see whether they decide to take the top floor clearance on. Obviously, they came back in round 5 and decided to just rush the dirt tunnel, but you don't get away with that twice. They're going to have to do things differently here, and if they're not going to just rush into sight, they have to clear out those roamers. It hurt them last time, and it will hurt them again if given the opportunity.
At least this time around it's being taken a bit more slowly. TrainHard playing to the book. Not trying to go for the big rush and playing to the book, playing with the book as well. Cox is still donning the operator here. Now, you probably got him in the wrong place, I'd imagine. You want him to not be playing around blue. You probably want him playing above the site itself and, you know, getting a little bit pew-pew with the skeleton key to get the soft walls opened up, and instead he's playing off down this location. Not sure why. I guess we'll find out exactly what the game plan is as it develops a little further.
Chaoxis, again, just pretty limited inside a garage. We saw this last time that they got into garage, and I kept raising the question of whether they were heading up the stairs to try and start that top floor clearance, but there was just that hesitance there to avoid doing it, and it sort of feels the same from Chaoxis. He's now moved himself out. He's onto the blue stairs, and he's looking to push in with Void. This is where they had some success last time, was pushing down into blue, but Chaoxis, after finding himself a couple of kills, was shut down. We're halfway through the round, still 5 versus 5, and we've still got Nath, who is a potential problem.
Well, he was previously, if you remember. He dropped down through the pool hatch, killed Noera, who was sat there playing on drones for the team, being, you know, good support player, doing his job. As no doubt he will be once this hatch is opened up as well. I imagine there's a little bit of awareness that he could still have an impact. Well, that said, now that he's back down main stairs, less so. But now you've got to worry about him potentially poking his nose up the main stairs. C4 in hand. About a second too soon there, potentially could have caught himself a kill onto Chaoxis, who was holding up top. And now he's doing what I was talking about earlier on. After dilly-dallying around blue for about 90 seconds or so, he has moved over to hallway and is now getting things open. The focus from TrainHard is going to be likely on this kitchen drop.
This isn't terrible for TrainHard here. They've got time. 45 seconds left to go. They're in position. They've got the manpower. They've got the utility that they need. They've also got those multiple angles of aggression that we speak about. They've got the vertical. They're pushing into blue, looking to take control. They've still got Toxic Babe canisters raining out from Secretly at the minute. He's got 2 left to go. Another one is triggered there, but he's going to burn out another 10 to 15 seconds of this round after that one dissipates. So that's going well.
Nath.
There's the smoke canister. Nath gets aggressive, goes in and finds the kill at the bottom of the stairs to trade out that opener. Blur doubles down, finds one onto Noera with the impact nade. We've got kills going in either direction, but it's NaVi who come out on top of things. 3 versus 2. Voy tries to push in from the dirt tunnel, saves his aware and finds the kill. Great headshot. Blur finishes it off onto Durza, and that's going to be NaVi locking the basement down this time.
Yeah, no mess-ups this time round, no being caught off by a rush. 4-2 at the half. I don't think you'd be too beat up about that if you're TrainHard. Again, speaking about the coordination issues that we saw earlier on, to walk away with 2 rounds, I think, on that attack, not a bad outcome. Let's see how they fare on the defense and whether or not NaVi's attacks have got a little bit more gusto. Again, speaking about the Ash mains around the world, Infi and Ewok, I believe it was, who put out a little analysis into what are all the former Ash mains playing. You know, there's still 2 or 3 still rocking the Ash. Look at Joystick, for example, loves playing that. But players like Doki have stepped across to playing things like the Flores or the Iana, for example. There's been quite a change-up, and as I say, he changes across to that with the 6th pick at the last second. It's interesting seeing teams kind of move these roles around a bit. Even in most cases, I think actually the most popular change was the Ash mains have gone across to playing Zofia, freeing up the former Zofia mains to play more flexible roles on the team.
Well, this is it. I mean, if you look at the, you know, the presence of operators like Iana, like Flores, they're effectively able of carrying out a very similar job to Ash. You want soft breaching done? They can both do it, if needs be. Iana obviously has the nades available, and if cooked right, it's not necessarily as effective, but it can be.
How long until people are crying for Zofia to made a 3-speed? And the new meme isn't Ash Jaeger main, it's
a Zofia Jaeger main. Yeah, I don't think we'll see that day. I think the thing is, Zofia's already got a lot of options. She's got the explosive utility in terms of the grenades. She's also got stun utility. She's got a good gun, and it's no surprise to see Zofia coming through. A powerful operator, but doesn't seem too oppressive to play either.
No. I think I mean, when I first really started properly getting into competitive Siege, and Zofia and Capital were the kind of go-to. And to me, the fact that they had 8 pieces of utility between them on top of drones and all the rest of it, and breaching charges, like claymores, whatever you pick, I was like, that's honestly ludicrous. Like, look at Ash being taken down to 2 now, for example, because of how strong she was with 3. Capital and Zofia still quietly laughing away in a corner with how much damage they can do. Now, no, of course, with the Zofia, you could bring along flashes, but you still get an extra piece of second utility, or a different piece of utility altogether. Enough about my thinking about Zofia and Capital. Let's have a bit of a think about the round. It is the downstairs site, as a quick mention. And looking towards that castle setup along with the Alibi. Alibi, an interesting pick in itself. One of those kind of flexible ones where you could bring along you could bring the Alibi, you can bring the Frost. It's really down to personal preference for a lot of teams.
Durza just playing down at the bottom of the main stairs there. Voice still active inside of bar. So TrainHard looking pretty good here. 1 minute in. Nice. I was just, it's a caster's curse. I do apologise. As Castle, Void tries to get himself back into sight, and Doki finds the shots as the Castle barricade gets opened up. He just left that a second too late. TrainHard were looking pretty good. They'd burnt out the first minute. They'd not been forced away from their original starting positions. It wasn't going too badly for them, but NaVi managed to find that opening kill, and that is likely to force TrainHard back to site if they're not already there completely, with the 4 remaining members, allowing NaVi to get this mid-floor work started. They have plenty of time to play with here in round 7.
They do, but it's about making it turn into magic here as well. We all know how crazy some ending rounds can be. The opening kill is a starting point, but actually getting the final few kills or getting the plant down is undoubtedly the focus for them. Well, of course not. Why they want to lose the time? No one wants that. Here you got Blaz holding him with the Castle barricade playing at the bottom of all, it's worth mentioning, and the fact that they've got the Banshee down will probably alert if anyone comes rushing down, or at the very least if it gets blown up by utility. It communicates Navi's intent to push down blue and say that's going to be one of our main points of ingress. They're getting set up, and in the final 60 seconds or so, this is where you start wondering, okay, when does the pace start to step up here for Navi? They've done the hard yards, they've got the control they need, they've got the vertical angles opened up, hatches are open too. Now let's start thinking about that plant.
Nath is on his way down, starts the drone-in phase, and this will probably be the last time now as we come in towards the final 30 seconds. Nath on the Hibana has the option to potentially dislodge Nuera, but with a lot of that wall left soft, it's probably not too much of a job that needs doing. Usually the Hibana will open the bottom corner that we see instead Blur do on the book. Now Nuera very carefully leaves that drone, steps out and gets himself an important kill down in the diffuser, gets a second as well. Shut down though. 3 versus 3 as NaVi managed to respond in kind. Blur gets himself a second. It's 3 versus 1. Chaoxis, last man alive, manages to get a kill with the Toxic Babe canister onto the already low health Doki. 5 seconds left to go. Nice. Blur has to stick it, but secretly manages to find that kill, so his teammate doesn't need to finalise that plant. And that's NaVi taking their first attack onto the basement.
1 of 2 to at least keep up to where TrainHard were at. That's what you're looking for. Although at that point it forced them over to being 6 and 2, and suddenly that mountain to climb for TrainHard becomes a very, very tall one. I mean, the close there, I thought for a second, I was like, okay, well, Chaoxis is in the 1 versus 2. He can do this, but the long wrangle from Blue, never really going to predict that one. That's just how far away it was. As things press forward, let's take a quick look at the kills as well, by the way. It's secretly currently sat at the top. And I'll be completely honest, I was a player that when he first got picked up, I was not so much critical, but I was skeptical. I said, in this day and age, can you afford to have a player that, you know, isn't an out-and-out gunner? Look at like Brede, for example, on the side of BDS. Can you afford to just have someone who plays the IGL and plays the support role? Or do you really need someone that can step up and contribute when required? And I thought secretly was more of the former type. He's proved himself so far this stage in a couple of their games to be the type that can step up and really get his hands dirty when he needs to, especially in games where your normal go-to fraggers like Doki, Saves, merging the two together there. That's close to saying Stokes. Imagine if he was playing this game.
Imagine it'd be like a mega player.
I know, right? Doki and Saves, sorry. Not really delivering to the level that they normally would. Saves last week, I think it was 16 kills that he walked away with, for example. Knowing that you've got a backline that you can rely on when they aren't performing to their best is a massive, boon to any team.
It is, absolutely. And the thing is, it just reduces the pressure on those players who usually put up the big numbers, because they're not coming in thinking, boy, if I don't do this, we're going to lose out tonight. They know that this player's there who can back them up. I mean, that's without even mentioning Blur. We've barely said Blur's name. He's on 7 kills. He's just quietly going about his business. He's tied with Secretly up at the top of the board at the minute. And I think it's just that we've come to expect nothing less from him, to be honest, other than to be fighting up there at the top. And there's nothing flashy from him. He just quietly goes about his business, makes good decisions and puts himself into good positions. Now that West Breach is going to get open quickly here. We've got the Thermite of Secretly just going in there. Not only is he getting kills, but he's also breaching. Tell you what, there's something beautiful about a good Thermite player, Des.
Oh really? What's that then? Are they normally bald or?
Sometimes.
When you're referring to the ace variety, then perhaps so. Doki being left alone in gym for a second here, finds one, almost finds the second, and does bring Void down to about 15 HP, but sadly, Void connects onto the head. And guess what? One shot to the head, you are dead. And Doki hitting the body multiple times, unfortunately not going to be able to bring him down. That puts us back up 4 and 4 then, so it balanced out. If Doki found that one suddenly in a 5 versus 3, and we're having a very different conversation, but they've got both of these breaches opened up in pretty rapid time. Interesting that NaVi chose to commit towards getting the west side cleared out too. A lot of teams will just say, well, we don't care, We want Garage, we want the East Breach, that's enough for us. But I think it's by taking out one player on the other side, you're at least giving yourself a little bit more peace of mind that you're not going to have another player come and flank you later into the round. Now it's mainly just Blaz that you've got to worry about.
It is. We've got 2 players downstairs, and that's something that TrainHard need to be aware of, because it does leave them a little bit short-handed on site as well. They've only got 4 remaining, so just need to be careful of that NaVi don't recognise that and take the opportunity to just get themselves in and try and put the diffuser down. Obviously, we've got Voy underneath, which if we have a look, he does still have a nitro in hand. It's the only explosive on the side of TrainHard, so he's likely to keep himself in and around Lounge because he wants to try and deny this vertical plant if he gets the opportunity. Now, NaVi pretty established inside of construction, Des. Toxic Babe canisters raining out. There's just, again, information. They just feel poised here. They feel ready. They've got the default plant spot opened up. 45 seconds left to go. Feeling reasonably good for NaVi.
They've got themselves set up as all the utility starts raining in. Blur finding 1 kill that they really need. They've got to deal with this player on Catwalk, I imagine. You still got Void playing downstairs. Now has moved himself back up. I think he feels himself is needed on site. Without the C4 on side, there's not really much point in being on the downstairs. 25 seconds still to play. For NaVi, you start worrying about the clock a little. Maybe that said, TrainHard, they don't have any more smoke canisters left as Chaoxis finds the kill onto Secret, the man I was just talking about. Nate's hopped in, is going for the plant here. Great angle coverage coming out from Saves, almost finds the Blur, finds it. That should be everything they need. Chaoxis finding a second. Sees the man. Surely he's an absolute freebie. No way if you let him get away with that. It could have been a 1 versus 1, but it's not going to be, at least temporarily. Blur into the 1 versus 1. Chaoxis tries to flick across, but Blur just a little bit too quick on the old trigger finger. NaVi take the second attacking round they need and move up to match point.
A costly miss for Chaoxis there. He had the opportunity to shut down Saves on the window twice, but was unable to do it, and at that point it made it very, very difficult for him to do. But I think there was a couple of questions I've got for TrainHard there, Des. One particularly...
Well, I can't answer those questions, mate. I'm not TrainHard.
One particularly was the fact that they double reinforced Garage wall from Catwalk to Garage. Now, Catwalk is an extremely powerful position, as we know, and one of the reasons is the fact that whilst in control of that, you can't plant in the default spot next to servers and the B-bomb, but also the default spot for the A site is just inside that construction wall, which can be completely denied from the Catwalk. So if you leave somebody there, it gives you a lot of flexibility and a lot of options to deal with potential plants. They double reinforced it. So he had no option to impact on either the A default site or where NaVi did plant, which was just inside of that CCTV window. The only option that Noera had to try and impact on that was to hop through that window. And it's the easiest.
How that played out.
It's the easiest kill in the world. If you've got a player watching it, which Saves was, you're in an animation. You can't fight back. It was just a free headshot for Saves. And so I'm not really sure on that double reinforce. We so often see the rotation there for that reason.
We see it very varied around the world, interestingly, where some will have a crouch hole there. The most common one that I see is like head plus level.
Just a little peek, the line across. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
So long as you've got a line of sight. He could have, if that was open, he kills Nist.
Yeah.
In that corner.
I think the assumption was that his team would be able to hold down the site and he couldn't then be shot from the west window, from the east breach, for example. He could safely play around Garage, move freely, contest players coming into Garage, but from what I recall, and I can't say it's not something I know with absolute concrete knowledge, NaVi don't ever jump to me when I think of a team that likes to take Garage control. It's just not really their forte. They're much more preferred to go and open up. Even thinking back to like Valencia 2019, even back then they were a team that likes attacking for the East Breach open first and then through construction. Knowing that knowledge, that's why you probably want to have that, the rotate opened up, for example. So, hey, doesn't come out to help TrainHard here. Maybe in a different round it does turn to have an impact, but unfortunately that was a round that they could not afford to lose. 6-2 for NaVi. It is match point and potentially the last round of the evening for day 1 this week of EUL. We are indeed back on Thursday as a reminder with Playdate number 4, that will be. Bit of a super week set up here, Ace, because we've also got APAC North on Wednesday morning.
We certainly do. It's keeping us busy. It's what we like. Siege after siege after siege, and there is no shortage of action here left tonight. There may only be 1 round left. There may be more than that if TrainHard have anything to say about it. It's a match point opportunity for NaVi, and so far we've got to be honest and say TrainHard, they've not really been too competitive inside of this one. They've not really felt like they've particularly stretched NaVi. NaVi have been very aware and on top of everything that's being brought to the table. Durza, it's going to be locked inside of Cash, just trying to hold it down for the time being. Chaoxis is moving in and around the bathroom area, so So TrainHard, they're just waiting at this point, Des. There's not much they can do as the defenders. They're just waiting to see where this push comes from NaVi before they react.
Yeah. I mean, you say that, and I think about Kavana in the last game, for example, against G2. Yes, they walked away the loser, but very often in the early round, they were contesting windows. There were C4s coming out, for example. They were being quite, dare I say, proactive. And here, yes, they've got the extended hold set up. That is kind of their proactive setup here. It's about now what you do with it, though. Will you find any C4 kills? Can you be disrupted out? Because Durza here, I think he knows the challenge is coming through. You've got Blur on the left, you've got 2 playing out on the right, and secretly finds Nuera at the top of red. Out steps Durza, also gets put down. That has been a pretty catastrophic extended hold. Yes, you've waited about 90 seconds, but you've lost 2. Make it 3 as another one comes through. Blaz strikes back, but that is all that TrainHard have got in this round. 4 versus 2, and all the world to play for NaVi. Ace, I doubt they're even breaking a sweat at this point.
I doubt it. They've got control over the east side of the map. They're not even choosing to use the south side windows at this point, which are also completely available to them. Des, they may choose to do so as the round goes on, but for the time being, secretly, he's just looking to apply a bit of pressure from that south and west side. We'll see exactly where he manoeuvres to. Blaz and Chaoxis, they are the last 2 left alive inside of Bedroom and trying to hold it down. Now, the Gemini clone goes in just to clear out and make sure that logistics is free for the time being. Need to be careful. Chaoxis is on that door. They haven't spotted him out, but they will know he's there now. Saves is going in hot behind that Gemini drone, and Doki's going in along with him. They need to make sure they come away with the kill. Deal with the Banshee using the EMP. Doki gets Blaz. Doki gets Chaoxis. That's the 2. That's round 7 for NaVi, and that is the game.
Indeed it is. I mean, it was the expected result coming out of it. Knowing that TrainHard looks a little bit shaky the last couple of weeks, NaVi, yes, had a shaky week 1, but coming back into the season off the back of a real hot stage 1, I think it was expected today that they walked away the winner, and a comfortable one at that. I know for TrainHard, they've got a few things they need to go and focus on in the next few days as well to get themselves ready for Thursday. But for NaVi, it's now starting to fight their way back at the table.
They are certainly showing